You don't have to. You don't have to create a back and forth with somebody being expressive. Communication is all about being expressive. I'll argue with you for an hour before I say, you know what, I'm not going to sit here and argue with you. And that's the steps that I'm learning. Like, you know, just hearing somebody and listening to what they're saying. A lot of times you might be saying the same thing somebody else is saying, but if you're not listening to that person and you're not gathering in what they're actually saying, then that's where the communication barriers come in at. What's your thoughts on venting versus arguing and expressing yourselves?
Well, venting, you know, the other person you're venting to the other person, so that the other person really don't need to say anything, you know, because until you're finished, or if you ask for your feedback or something like that, I think when the person's finished, they just come to you to just talk, you know, about what they got going on. And if you don't listen and try to, you know, answer the question before they finish, then it starts the argument, because that's not what you was thinking.
Right.
You just vent.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to say anything back. I'm just venting, and that's it. And the argument part, like, I don't like doing it. I mean, I know we argue sometimes, and it be over crazy stuff, stupid stuff, but, you know, at the end of the day, communication is the key to the relationship, because if you don't have communication, you don't have nothing really.
Right.
You might as well just be roommates if y'all, you know, married.
Well, that's not an option. It's really not an option.
I mean, that's what it is.
A big part, like I said, this topic was going to be about different subjects, so I'll just go right into the kids, and maybe you can fall into line with relationships. But, you know, communication is big for kids as well. I took some notes, and, you know, I kind of studied this subject here, and I wrote out some do's and don'ts for encouraging communication with children. So the do's, I say do model. Like when I say do model, when I say do model, I mean modeling the language, showing your child how to communicate. If Marty and I is constantly at each other, we're teaching the children that that's the way you communicate, and that's not proper. So you model what you would like for them to see, to encourage what they do. You repeat, you confirm that they heard what you said. You know, giving examples of a kid, you say, hey, when you get home from school, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. And having them repeat those things to make sure that they understood what you said, so that it doesn't become a thing later, like, hey, did you not pay attention to what I said, and, you know, going forward. You do extend. You extend, you add those 1-2 words to your child, and when I say you extend and you add those 1-2 words, that means like you throw in those sentences that makes them feel like they're safe. Like what I do with the girls, and I do this just with the girls, and I probably should do it with the boys, but maybe Marty should do it with the boys, I'm not sure, but what I do with the girls is I take them like once a month, and we just go have lunch, and we, you know, I call it get it off your chest. And so we, you know, we go have lunch, we laugh, we talk about, you know, scenarios that they're dealing with at school or friends, or, you know, now they're exploring, you know, dating and questions and all those different things. So communication with children and teenagers per se is important, to give them that outlet to know that you are a parent, but you also can be that person that they come to, and that way, you know, like when something is going on or something is happening, they feel safe enough to come and tell you, so that it's not something that is kind of put on the back burner. So those are things that I put as do respond, do wait, do extend, do repeat, and do model. Don't. Now let's go into the don'ts. Don't say. And I say that to say, don't be like, okay, now you say this or you say that. I don't want to hear you say this, because what's going to happen is you're telling them what to say and how to say it. You want them to be as expressive as possible and respectful. Don't question. When I say that, too many questions is not natural. When you make more comments instead of asking more questions, and I say that to say, you don't want to say, oh, how was your day at school? And as soon as they say good, then you say, well, what exactly did you do at school today? And then they're looking at you like, I really don't want to have this conversation. So when I say don't question, you make open conversations where it's not a question. You say, what did you do different today than you did yesterday at school? Or something to that effect. Even though it's a question that opens communication. Sometimes I don't even have to say like, how was school today? I can see it on their face when they come in the door. And I say, well, what happened today at school that makes you seem to be irritated when you came in the house? And then I get that conversation. Or I might get nothing, I'm just tired. But either way, it's not forcing that. And so I say that to say, don't pressure children and pressure them into conversing with you. I said conversating. Don't pressure them into conversing with you, because sometimes they just don't want to talk. And when you force it, it's becoming forced and unnatural. And then children are feeling like they have to do something that they don't want to do. And that forcefulness causes frustration. So my last one was, don't get frustrated. It's natural to be frustrated on certain things, but don't show those frustrations, because that lures children to stay away from you within conversation. With all my kids, I believe, I don't have a problem with them coming to me and talking and saying something. Even my stepchildren, they come to me about different subjects, and we talk about it and we move on. Those are things that creates a safety net, and it creates a safe space for the children, so that they know that they have somebody that they can talk to as a parent, and not just always coming at them with your words. We have adult children, so I'm going to go into the adult children. Again, I took notes. This one is, I wrote out 4 messages adult children need to hear from their parents. I'm an adult child. Sometimes I need to hear it. I hear it quite frequently with both my parents, so I feel like by saying this, I'm saying this as well. And I do say these things to both my son and my stepdaughter, who are considered adult children. I say, number one, I'm so proud of you. Adult children may feel embarrassed to ask, how they're doing, or, they might have some type of pride. Or they might feel like in this world they have, no justification of, are they doing the right things? Both of our adult children are 23 years old. So that's an age where you are still filling out yourself. You're trying to figure out, are you making the right moves with yourself? Are you doing the right things? Are you influenced by the right people? So you just remind them that you're proud of them and all the things that they do. Number two, one, you are enough. Some adult children feel like no matter how much they accomplish, it's never enough. And, I look at some of the adult kids that are around, and they feel like, they have these things where they feel like, okay, well, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, but it's not enough. You make sure you communicate with them that, they are enough and what they're doing is enough, and that just keep pushing. They need that encouragement. The number 3 thing that I focus on, I actually have an auto message that I send to my son every day. And part of that message, it says, I believe in you. And that's just saying, like, it's giving him the confidence to understand that he might not believe in himself and what his goals are or what he's striving for. But I believe in him, and I believe that if he takes those steps, he can get to where he needs to be. And the last one, adult children, they need to hear it on a regular basis, and that's just the simple, I love you. Children do not outgrow the desire to hear that they are loved. And to remind them of that gives them something to look forward to, and feel like they have that bond with their parent, and that they're not a disappointment even when they feel like they're doing something wrong. Marty, did you want to chime in on any of the kids, children or adult children or small children and teens that I just touched on? that was my subject that I pretty much studied because I wanted to make sure that, as our viewers are going into our communication channel, they understand that those small things, even just the little thing that I do with the girls, where I take them and I let them get it off their chest. And sometimes I hear some stuff and I'm like, whoo, I was not ready for that, but I never give them that impression that they can't tell me those things. But I just feel like viewers need to understand like what I do and how I handle our lifestyle.
Right. I mean, as far as me with the boys, I just try to keep it straightforward with them. You know, I don't sugarcoat much. I might sugarcoat some stuff, but some stuff they don't need to hear as kids. You know, because I never want to tear their confidence down. You know, I give them encouragement. But they also I communicate with them in a way that they have to know they gotta do it on their own. Like I can tell them, I can lead them to the water, but hey, make them drink it.
Right.
So with them, I just, like I said, I keep it straightforward. Especially when it comes to their schooling and their sports.
Mm-hmm.
I always tell them that when it comes to sports, I'm not going to talk to the coach for you.
Right.
Because if you're doing what you're supposed to do, they're gonna see it. That's another form of communication without even saying anything.
Right.
Because if you doing what you're supposed to do, you communicating to the coach that you got it.
Right.
So like I just try to keep it straightforward with them and give them positive messages throughout the day. Sometimes, like especially when MJ was playing, I give them some motivational quote from Ray Lewis or Kobe. Just let them know, however it go today, just understand you give your all and, everything will take care of itself.
Right.
Yeah, I just, I don't know, I just try to, keep it straightforward with them and not beat around the bush. I know sometimes that's not the right way to communicate, but
sometimes you gotta, take that gut punch and get it out there. And listeners, if you're on the live, you can chime in and write comments and ask questions on how you think we should handle certain things, or whatever you want to put out there. We're here to chime in with you guys and keep it and keep this podcast flowing with comments.
Right.
Marty's gonna touch relationships. Do you want me to start with about me, or you go first and then I chime in after you?
I mean, you can go.
So I had took a little bit of notes, but I also shared them with Marty. So part of my notes for relationships, I feel like the biggest part of intimacy in a relationship is communication. It's having that bond, late night discussions, weekly motivational talks. We talked about this in the first episode, but Marty and I, we meet once a week and we talk about the goals for our week, and we talk about the things that might have been said, and you might have hurt my feelings a little bit when you said such and such. But these are the hard discussions that we get out there. So I feel like communication in a relationship really is about communicating no matter what the subject is, big or small, being able to tackle those things and talking about it and moving forward from it. Might crack a joke. It's funny, but then I look at Marty and I say, oh, he's not laughing. So let's figure out, did I hit a button? Did I, was that a triggering conversation? And it might be vice versa. Marty, he I joke about certain things, and sometimes I can tell he's like, little touchy subject, but it's just my personality. But those are things that, if you communicate those things and you're not harboring them, I feel like a lot of times relationships fail in the communication area because they get to the point to where you've offended me, but I'm not going to say anything because it's going to start an argument. Well, you might have offended me. It might start an argument, but at the end of the day, you cannot tell me how to feel about something on how I feel.
Right.
So those are the big things that you have to talk about. So you go ahead and you talk about. I probably took away a lot, but go ahead and.
You did, but I mean, communication is major. is like the thing in the forefront, because like she said, once a week we try to sit down and go over, our week and how we're gonna do things. And if we ain't communicating to each other right, then it's not gonna be right. We're gonna be all over the place. We try to organize our week. Sometimes it don't work because we have so much going on. So we try to plan around the kids and what they got going on. But another thing is organization. Like you gotta be organized. Like the communication is the top, but the organization got to be right. Because if it's not, then the communication ain't gonna matter. Because once you communicate something, now you gotta put it in motion. So if you don't communicate that right, then we're gonna be running around like chickens with our head cut off.
Right. And you mean as far as like when we communicate like our goals for the week, or like what we're doing in this order to stay organized within that setting?
Yeah. We just have to, communication, there's no way around it. Like you have to communicate with anything, even with friendships, you gotta communicate. You don't communicate with your friend and be like, okay, I'm gonna meet you here. If you don't communicate that, then you gonna show up and they ain't there. Now y'all going back and forth. You didn't tell me. You didn't tell me, man. Like so, communication is the number one thing.
In those cards, I had some questions or discussion points. If you want to touch on any of those subjects.
Well, you touched on, communication styles. Weekly talks, and nightly talks. Setting boundaries. Communicating.
When I talked about, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but when I talk about setting boundaries, I talk about those knowing your partner or knowing the person that you're talking to, knowing that boundary of what you can talk about and what you should kind of lay low. As far as communicating on things that's triggering, remember we talked about triggering conversations, and you're like, I don't understand how that's triggering, and I'm like, it runs with you. Either your childhood or a past relationship, but conversations can be triggering. Mm-hmm. It can make you feel like you are in defensive mode, or you're constantly having to, talk about something that, makes you feel uncomfortable. So it's knowing what makes the conversation comfortable. It makes it where you and your partner can communicate effectively and not hurt the next one's feelings, or put them in a situation where they feel like they are talking about something that really bothers them and they don't want to talk about it in the first place. Those are some pointers that I have to put out there for you.
Yeah.
When you
you got one thing down here, advice for couples.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? As far as us giving advice, it's certain things, I guess to a certain extent we can give advice because we still new.
Right, and that's the big thing is we started our relationship off very communicative. We talked about everything from day one, and we just continue to grow with that communication. I think that it's important when you, even if you in a long-term relationship or you're just getting to know somebody, I feel like anything that you really want to know about a person, you have to get those questions out there. And if you get the answer that you're looking for, good. If you don't, talk about those things. Because I always tell people, close friends and family that, when I first started talking with Marty, and I would be like, I feel like, he tells me everything. I never have to question what he's saying and so forth. And that's true. Like, we've been together in the time that we have, and there's nothing that I could say that I asked him about as far as like past stuff or like how he deals with certain things that he's led me wrong on. Now, I do say that he should have told me that he don't like to drive. because I don't like to drive. I'll drive, but I get tired of driving. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But you know, like when you're getting to know somebody, or in your relationship, or you know, as your relationship is still building, I feel like it's the only advice that I can give you is ask the important questions, and don't always look for the answer that you're looking for. Give them the opportunity to give the answer that they need to give, and understand where they're coming from. And that's just the only advice that I can give as far as for couples. When you involve with somebody, they're gonna have things that they talk about or things that they discuss that might not sit well on your plate, but that's where you have to hit those hard conversations and figure out where you go from there. What's your advice for couples?
My advice?
Yes.
What we talking about? Communication. That's my advice. But nah, seriously, you have to like communicate, but also you have to get to know each other. I mean, just like you said, you got to get to know each other and know each other's boundaries and limits, and just yeah. I mean, I'm at a loss for words right now, but you just gotta it's. I'm at a loss for words right now.
It's still some more cards there. Some more stuff you can feed off of if you. I have, like I said, each episode I try to like research the topic. So I thought this episode we can have some little pointers if needed.
I mean, I'm not used to like talking to people, so my advice, if they married, like just communicate. That's pretty much all I can say.
Sorry, I'm trying to make sure there's no comments. Okay, I figured it out. So you did talk about friendships, and I think that friendships is a topic that we don't really think about, but communication within friendships is important. I feel like if you are considered my friend, you should be able to say, give me advice or tell me your opinion or do any of those things, and for me not to be offended, because as your friend, I'm your first contact person who's going to tell you exactly what it is. You might not like it, but that's the boundary of your friendship. People call me and ask me for my opinion on certain things, and if you ask me for my opinion, I'm going to give it to you whether you like it or not. And that to me is part of the big part of communication in friendships. Now also within friendships, I wrote out some pointers. Phrases for healthy friendships. I'm so proud of you. I was reflecting on what happened and I want to apologize. That's something that's really big on any type of relationship, being able to apologize. I know that you called me, you was in need, and I wasn't fully there for you. I couldn't really, get into what you had going on because I had my own things going on. That's offering that apology. Being accountable for your communication and accountability goes a long way. And to say that, I mean, like, things are not going to always go your way within a friendship. But if you offer that apology and you say, look, hey, I might have came at you sideways yesterday. I was having a bad day. My bad, I apologize to you. That cuts off a lot of those days of, I don't do it, but I see it. Subliminal posts or Facebook messages and all these things that go on social media. Have those one-on-one conversations, because a lot of times what you will find is that the person actually might have just had a communication barrier with you, and a simple apology goes a long way. And I also say that to say, when you offer that apology, you say, well, you know what, how can I show up for you now? Like, what can I do for you in this moment? What can help you in this moment? I think in all my years of being friends with people and certain things, I don't think as women we don't come together and we say, what can I do to help you in this moment, in this particular moment, because we're all human. We're gonna have moments. So that's something that I think is important. Instead of being confrontational, you say things like, can I ask you about this? Can I ask you about this? You know, whatever the subject is. And having that communication to say like, okay, well, I heard about this, or someone told me about this, or I've heard it. You know, you don't even have to say you heard it, but I would like to talk to you about this, and can we have this discussion? And it's an open discussion, and it doesn't have to lead to an argument, but it's about being mature adults and having those conversations. And this goes for men too. Men don't have those conversations with their friends to say, you know, hey man, you know, you shouldn't be doing those things, or you know, this is something that I don't agree with per se. Stop holding back. You got to be that friend that literally tells it how it is. And I've never had that problem. I'm gonna tell people how it is regardless. If they cut me off, then you know that's their loss, not mine. And saying simple things like thank you. You know, thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being here in my moment. Thank you for showing up when I needed you the most. Because a lot of times, you know, what you find is people don't show up. When you think people gonna show up, that's the time when people do not show up. And when they do show up and they show up half-assed, that's when you really learn like, okay, what am I dealing with here? And then you start to question, well, if I show up 100% for this person, you know, why do I only get 25% of their show up? And that's that hard discussion that you can have. You can say, you know what, I've been there for you for these things, but when it was my turn, you weren't there. And have that discussion, you know, be able to express yourself about it. So friendship communication is important. It's important to be there for your friend. It's important to talk things out, hash things out. But it's also important, those long-term friendships, those are the ones that they accept you for who you are, and they know that you're going to tell them exactly how you feel. So that's my subject on friendship. I mean, I could go on and on and on about friendship. But I think the most important thing here within what our subject is communication. It is communicating those hard subjects and offering your support in the most sensitive moments. And that goes for family as well. You know, it doesn't have to be just friendship, because I know for me, a lot of my family is just family. You know, I said that backwards. A lot of my family is friends. So, you know, I don't have a lot of outsiders, but for those family members, they know they can call me. I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is. They say, hey, what do you think about this? Or what would you do about this? And that's where you know, you have those hard discussions with them, and you tell them like, hey, look, you handled this a certain way, and I just don't appreciate it. Like, you could have handled this a different way, or vice versa. And then you offer that apology. You know what? Maybe I shouldn't have said it to you that way, so I apologize. I mean, I say that just off the GP of like even siblings. You know, me and my sister, we grew up, we might have had words, and then the next day we good because we said, well, you know what, I shouldn't have said that to you. I apologize. And life goes on. This is how we move on from those moments of not speaking to somebody for a long time, or, you know, getting away from, you know, who you are because you don't want to deal with, you know, the dramatics of it. And what you think? Same thing.
You carrying it tonight.
Well, I did you know, this was a subject that I was like, I really was going to study, and I really wanted to, you know, speak to the people, because communication is so many different ways of communication. It's not even just verbal communication. You got facial expressions, tone. Communication goes into so many different
different ways. Moving in me, so you know. Yeah, I am. I only have a couple friends, so, and you know, I tell them all the time, like, you know, if I see something, I'm not, you know, I always tell them, especially with relationships. I ain't gonna tell you to leave them alone, but I'm coming to you to tell you that I see something that ain't right.
Right.
I might not come out and tell you exactly what it is, but I'm just letting you know, as your friend, I see something ain't right.
Right.
And, you know, but I'm never gonna tell none of my friends to leave their partner.
Right.
Because they wouldn't do it to me.
Right.
You know.
And that's important, because I'm not going to say, oh, leave. I'm going to say, have you spoke on these things? Or have you talked about this? Did you bring this to that person's attention? You know, find that barrier where it's not an argument. It's not a fight. It's not, you know, it doesn't become domestic. And you know, open up yourself, and you be open to what they have to say, and you be open to, and you try to, you know, express yourself in the most ways that you know. It ain't always name calling, and you know, that's where things go left. But when you have that proper communication, a lot can be handled.
Now, do they have any thing they want to ask or?
I finally see the comments. I didn't realize that it was actually comments coming up here, but we got some people on here commenting.
Okay.
We got hey Ren, I see you, Ren.
Big Ren.
Kiera says she loves the festive outfits. Mama said good evening, thank you. I say that all the time, but I have to go back and see what we talking about. So Kiera said, how do you guys communicate when having a disagreement in front of other people, or do y'all have any advice in that area? Well, we have had a disagreement in front of somebody before.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure she heard a couple things. You know,
I think it just depends on who it is, because when you're around, you know, certain people, sometimes, you know, you just feel more of yourself. But I mean, we wouldn't be in public and have a disagreement where we couldn't have a conversation about it. But I feel like I'm quick to be like, I'm not gonna talk about this in front of all these people. Like, I'm not gonna talk about this in front of people. And Marty's like, why not? You know, why we can't talk about it now? You know, then he want to get other people involved in the conversation to say, like, you know, what their thoughts are. And that's okay. It doesn't hurt. That type of disagreement doesn't come at me sideways, because I realize what's going on here. It's either Marty's trying to figure out how to handle the situation without it becoming times 10. Because number one, he knows how I am. You know, I'm gonna handle some things. But two, a lot of times I'll just tell him to go, like, just go in the room, because we'll talk about it later. I'm not gonna talk about this with you.
Go upstairs. Just go upstairs.
The second part of it, do y'all have any advice in that area? The advice that I have in that area, Kiera, is you keep certain conversations private. If it's a disagreement, you know, that involves the people that's in the setting, I'm gonna always have Marty's back. He's gonna always have my back. Now, if he does something that I'm like, now why would you do that? I'm gonna say to you, why did you do that? And he knows I will. Like, why would you say that, or why would you do that? But at the same time, I'm not gonna correct him in front of people. I'm gonna have that discussion with him later. I'm gonna say, you know, like, okay, let's let this conversation be done, but I'm gonna check him about it privately.
Yeah, because, you know, we like to host and do little things, and, you know, we want people to keep coming back, because we do show people a good time. But sometimes, you know, me and her might disagree on something real quick, and, you know, both our egos are strong, so, you know, one ain't gonna let it go. So, but yeah, just with that situation, just try to not talk about it right then. Just wait until you guys get home, or, you know, in a different setting.
Hey Lammy. So Lammy said, communicate with honesty, less judgment, and more understanding. She also said friendship. Friendship should be healthy, honest, caring, good advice, and accountability. And that's exactly what I mean when I say friendship is, that communication in friendship is literally about being that healthy friendship, where I should be able to give you, I don't know how to mute the, okay, there we go. Because I'm like, why am I hearing myself? Okay. Back to the
we still trying to get it together.
But friendship should be healthy, honest, caring, good advice, and accountability. I truly believe in all of that you said, Lammy, because that's exactly what I feel like a true friend is. A true friend is gonna hold you accountable, and they're also gonna tell you when you're right and when you're wrong. Ricky said that communication is key, and yes, it is. A true friend, let me back to you. Cindy, you said, yes, you do keep it 100. And Cindy, you know, I've been knowing Cindy for a long time. My true partner in crime. And Cindy knows that I'm going to keep it 100. And Cindy definitely is one of those friends that's going to tell you like it is. Like, I thought I was bad at keeping it 100, but no, Cindy, you definitely keep it 100. You'll tell anybody. I've seen you tell the Popeyes worker how it is. So we know you're going to tell it how it is. We love you too, Joe.
Little bro.
that's all the comments I can see. If there's more, it's not loading, but we really appreciate y'all chiming in and keeping us afloat here with this podcast. Piggying back on some other things, as far as communication, because Joe's on here. That's my brother-in-law. That's Marty's brother. I got my stepdad on here, my mom on here, and Kiera, my niece, and Lammy, my sister in love. And I got some other people watching, but I just want to say that in you guys' world, you make sure that no matter who the person is, it could be a boss, a friend, a coworker, you always be a good listener. Communication is not communication without being able to listen to what a person is saying. When we have conversations, sometimes I'll be like, Marty, do you hear me? Because he's just looking at me, but he's like, I'm waiting on you to finish talking. And I think I never was used to that originally. Wait for somebody who's waiting to hear what I have to say, and then they say what they need to say. So that stops that bickering, that back and forth, because my grandma used to say this. She said, we can sing together, but we can't talk together. Right. And I used to be like, oh, please. But as an adult, I understand it. We can't talk at the same time. I'm not going to hear you. And I'm not listening to what you have to say just to respond. I'm listening to understand where you're coming from.
Also, going forward, these lives is going to be on the Table for Two Facebook page. I'm not sure if she can pin it to the chat.
I did tag the Table for Two
Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah, we're gonna be switching it over to there, so that's where you'll catch the lives from here on out. Also, go to subscribe at our YouTube page. I mean, it's all Dickerson Table for Two. If you type in Dickerson Table, it should come up. So if you guys don't mind, please go over there and subscribe to that. We're about to start uploading videos there soon. I just got my new computer today, so now we can start cranking these things out. So yeah.
We got another comment from Kiera. She said, I know in the beginning of the video, y'all gave y'all's definition of communication, but what do y'all consider healthy communication versus toxic communication? This can be any aspect, relationship, friendship, etc.
Man.
So healthy versus toxic communication.
I mean, as far as the healthy go, I mean, just being positive in your speech. Like, when you talk to that person or communicate with that person, you already kind of know what the person going through because you already talked. So try to feed positive into the person, give them uplifted person. Just, like I said, just be positive. And, as far as that toxic, I mean.
Toxic is really all in the tone, the facial expression, your body language. Toxic goes a lot of different ways. And
right.
It's kind of like if I say, and also, toxic communication goes into that and you did this and you did that and you said this. You want to stay away from things like that because you're being very aggressive towards the conversation. You want to find a way to not be toxic by how you hold your tone, your poise, and how you sit and how you talk. Like, we could be having the same conversation, but the moment he's like, to me, you don't want to hear what I got to say. So I'm like, oh, so you don't want to hear what I got to say? Fine, I'll stop talking. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm just taking a deep breath. It's all about how you carry that conversation. So that, to me, that's healthy versus toxic.
I mean, I feel like communication comes in all forms. It comes in all forms because as a married couple or even as, a boyfriend or a girlfriend or just a friend, you saying certain things can be toxic. Like if y'all going out and you encouraging him to do or her to do something that you wouldn't do, that's toxic.
Right.
That's you trying to, you telling them to do something that they shouldn't be doing. But yeah, so the toxic and the healthy is, I mean, you just have to look at how you speaking to people.
Hey, Alicia. Too tight.
Too
She
tight.
said, hey. Hey. I'm going to leave y'all with this. This was the last thing that I kind of put out there. And Kiera, this kind of falls into what you were saying, but this was these last two statements is what I kind of put together in closing for this conversation for today. So being in a healthy relationship really taught me that there's no such thing as that's just the way I am. When you truly love somebody, you work on those toxic traits, you learn to communicate, you actively listen to each other's thoughts and feelings, you adjust, heal, and grow together. That's my thought on communication and being in a healthy relationship. And then my advice for anyone in general. The topic says, let's talk, not argue. Expressing how we feel shouldn't lead to an argument. It should spark a conversation aimed at understanding each other better. Open, honest communication is the foundation of any strong relationship. Let's strive to listen, understand, and grow together. It's not about who's right or wrong. It's about building a deeper connection. And with that being said, that is our table for two talk for today.
Whoever's in the chat, give a thumbs up if you would like to see some table for two merch. Just put a thumbs up in the chat.
Right now we don't have anything, but it could be. It's just that I think it's a delay.
Because we want to do, we want to make this a fun podcast. So, we might actually do a giveaway for the next episode.
Cindy gave a thumbs up. Lammy gave a thumbs up. So they want to see it, Marty.
So we might do a giveaway for the next episode right before Christmas on, some merch. So we'll have more details in the next post and let you know how you can, enter and see if one of you guys win.
That sounds exciting. Again, we want to end this podcast with offering you guys to please follow our Dickerson Table for Two Facebook page. That is where we will be live next week. We're going to start our episode 5 in that chat. We started here because we had to get y'all to come first. But we also need y'all to subscribe to our YouTube page, which is Dickerson_Table for Two. And like he said, if you put in Dickerson Table for Two, it will come up. We also have an Instagram page, Dickerson Table for Two. And we are working on TikTok if TikTok sticks around long enough.
We're definitely going to do a TikTok. Matter of fact, I'm going to create that page tomorrow. And then, we always going to post it, let you know if we're going to be on whatever platform, because sometimes we're just going to go live, just to chat. We might be out at a restaurant and just go live. And whoever, want to join can join the live.
Looking forward to in the new year, we also will be starting our broadcast through a radio so that you guys can call in. We're working on the details now with one of our favorite listeners, Slim Portier.
Big Slim.
He is working with us on helping us out with this podcast and getting it off the ground. And look forward to our journey. You guys are here in the beginning, and we love to see y'all, as we progress.
And also, be on the lookout for our new setup. We getting everything together right now. We love our setup now, but we want to make it more, intimate, like a table for two. So be on the lookout for that. Just be on the lookout for a lot of stuff that we got coming. Aliens and Cows coming in 2025. So be on the lookout for that. If you haven't went to that page, that's Aliens and Cows World on IG. Go over there and give us a follow on that. And we glad that you guys are on this journey with us, because like I said, we talked about this podcast for a long time.
Right.
And I don't know why we didn't just start, but we did, and now we're here.
Alan Phoenix, I see you watching. Congratulations on your commercial. I did see it. You guys, like I said, thank you for being part of this journey. We're going to end this podcast, and you guys have a great rest of your week, and look forward to seeing you guys on episode 5 on our Dickerson Table for Two Facebook page live. Thank you again. Have a good night.